Fortin, good night. That's how I like to hear it. Labre, good night. Trinidad and Tobago, good night. Well, I have a long speech tonight. But after the kind of licks PNM get tonight from the fire up on this stage, from the stalwarts from this part of the country, here now, I could go home feeling good. But that will mean that I get a chance to help put some blows on them. And I want to lose that opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, political leader of the United National Congress and the next Prime Minister of our beloved nation, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Desai. Members of the Blue Army that is here tonight, members of the Green Army that is here tonight, members of the Yellow Army that is here tonight. Tonight is our night to shine a spotlight against the PNM and expose all the racket that they are involved in. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is your chance to be reminded that on April 28th, we can continue the revolution started by the labor movement in this country when they stood up for you decades ago. The weapon we will use on the 28th of April is this finger. Are you ready? Well, I don't want to be long, so I just want to deal with two issues. Two issues. You see, over the last few days, the fellow who calls himself the Prime Minister of this country, and he'll have a next name for him, it's called some kind of small pin. I wouldn't go down that road. He's the Prime Minister. He's the Prime Minister. So over the last few days, the outgoing Prime Minister of this country has been lying to this country in your face. Are you taking that? No! That, I almost said Nimakarama, but I promise I wouldn't use those kind of words on the stage. That gentleman, the outgoing Prime Minister, on a platform told this country that the UNC is going to devalue the currency to 15-1. As my political leader said, you hear lie? That is lie! That man should bury his head in shame. Brazen, so coming and lying to the people of this country. That is why nobody believes him. Nobody has confidence in him. They will lie to you to your face and believe that you're stupid enough to believe that. So let me clear it up for him. Because I know that they pay attention when we speak. Because they have no plans, so the air's open. They cock up, they're waiting. They want to listen clearly to hear a plan that they can thief. Because they're thieving everything. All you lock up all your dog and things, they're thieving everything, Breeze are blowing here tonight because they're afraid to get thief. They're thieving breeze too, Let me make it clear. Read my lips, Stuart Little. Oops, Stuart Young. Read my lips, Stuart Young. No devaluation under the United National Congress. Our political leader has said that time and again. And if yours closed in your fridge door and you didn't hear it, let me say it again. No devaluation under the United National Congress. So that deals with line number 1. Yeah? Line number 1. The next thing that seems to be troubling them, because Ernesto said it earlier. And brother, when you become the member of parliament, I know that you will do better than the existing fella. But we can talk about him afterwards. I want to touch on him afterwards. Your young brother, as you mentioned to him. So we deal with the evaluation. We talk about the fact that they have no plans, so they're listening, they're copying, and they're only talking about their plans. No plans. But you know what the biggest problem they have? This PNM government don't thief out the treasury. They're tackling the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. And they want more to thief. So you know what their biggest problem is? Where are we getting the money to do the things that we say we are going to do? Where are we getting the money to give it 10% and more to workers who deserve more than that in this country? Where are we getting the money to do all the infrastructural works that we have said that we are going to do? Where are we getting the money to build this country and to develop this country? Where are we getting the money? That's the question that they want you to ask us. Because they have no idea, except for borrowing and thieving and selling out your assets for cheap to their friends and their family. They have no idea. For the PNM, the only thing they could do is tax, 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 and thief, 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 and sell, 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 and borrow, borrow, borrow. That's all they could do. But you see, that is the government. That is the PNM. That is why this country is in a crisis. They have no vision. You know, long time, you used to see donkeys driving up the road. Fellas in the cart with the donkeys in front. And they used to put blinkers on the side. You know what the blinkers was for? The blinkers was to keep the donkey focused on the road in front, so nothing could distract them. But this set of donkeys, like the blinkers, cover their eye. They don't know where they're going. They have no clue. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share some information with them. And I'll tell you the irony of this. None of this is new. Over the last 10 years, we have been telling the PNM government what to do to save this country, and they have refused to do it. You know why? Them people don't like nobody. They come and they sing, "We love you, so we take." Let me tell you something. That song wasn't for Trinidad and Tobagonians. That wasn't for you and for me. That wasn't for none of we. Because you see, the PNM cares about 1%. The UNC cares about 100%. Every citizen in this country. So let me start with some ideas. Where are we getting the money from? The first way we are going to get the money from, and there's several, I can't deal with them all tonight, so I'm just going to give you a snapshot. So you will know that we have the plans. So you will know that we have the people. So that you will know that we have the history, the experience, the knowledge, and the willpower. First thing to do is stop the thieving. Stop all of this corruption. Stop all of this racket. And it's not just me saying so, ladies and gentlemen. The Office of the Procurement Regulator, a body set up in the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, whose role it is to monitor and evaluate the operations of contracts, so the award and management of contracts by state agencies. Let me break that down for you. Every time the government gives out a contract to somebody, that body, the procurement regulator, their job is to take a look at it and make sure proper procedures were followed. No corruption exists. So for all intents and purposes, the Office of the Procurement Regulator is the anti-corruption body for government contracts. And let me tell you what that body says. So this is not UNC saying that. We're repeating what was done and provided to the Parliament of this country. The Office of the Procurement Regulator has said that in 1 year, $5 billion under this PNM was given out illegally. $5 billion. But let me tell you who gave it out. This is state contracts. State bodies giving out this contract. You know who are the people who run in the state bodies? Cabinet, PNM cabinet appointed persons are giving out state contracts. You think they're giving it out to you and I? They're giving it out to PNM, friend, family, and financiers. They're thieving $5 billion every year for the last 10 years. Do that math, 5 by 10, $50 billion. You want to get $50 billion, ladies and gentlemen? Get rid of the PNM now. Stop that thieving now. That's $5 billion. So when you go to the hospital and you can't get tablet, you can't get Panadol, $50 billion gone in somebody's pocket. It have men living millionaire lifestyles in this country off your back. When your children can't get transport to go to school, When you can't afford to get a job, you can't afford to buy books for your children, somebody pocket $50 billion. Are you taking that, ladies and gentlemen? They're thieving it blind. So that's the first way. And I just count $50 billion for it. So you see, every project we identify here, $50 billion, that would have organized and orchestrated and implemented every single one of the projects that we are talking about. Those projects could have been up and running and generating a revenue stream for our country. But why is that not happening? Because all the PNM want to do is thief. Is that not a shame? What are you supposed to do when you know that somebody you hired, somebody you put in charge of your home, somebody you put in charge of your business, somebody you give your money to run your country, what are you supposed to do when you find out that they're thieving you blind? Keep them or get rid of them? So what we're going to do on April 28th, get rid of the PNM. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the first way of finding money. And like I said, if you find that just that money, if you stop the corruption, you have enough money to start every single project to diversify the economy. And the next thing to do is to diversify the revenue base. This is common sense, you know. If you want to generate more money, what you have to do? You have to diversify the economy. You have to find new sources of revenue. If you as a homeowner want to have more money in your pocket, you have to look for a next job. You have to look for a next job. Don't do like the PNM and sell the chicken. Sell the chicken, mash it. In fact, they do worse than sell it. They mash down the chicken, they kill him and looking for the egg. So they're talking about Petrotrin. They mash up Petrotrin now, and now we have no foreign exchange. Because they didn't think it, in fact, I shouldn't lie. They did think it through. They actually thought it through. Because a certain protection was afforded by the government to a certain individual. You all remember the Prime Minister of this country, PNM Prime Minister, stood up on a platform and said, the PNM is like the Cosa Nostra. We operate under oath of secrecy. And if you break that oath of secrecy, we will kill you politically dead. All you remember that? Do you know what the Cosa Nostra is? That is the biggest mafia gang in the world. Mafia involved in all kind of racketeering. The Prime Minister, the head of the PNM, calling his party. And if anybody going to enter, see? Saying that there's a bunch of crooks, liars, gangsters, and thieves. Well, when Tobagonians have a saying, when fish jump out of the water and say, shark daddy, shark daddy. So if the man who's supposed to know admits and confesses that the PNM is full of crooks. Anyway, let me move forward from there. How to diversify the revenue base? Well, it's two parts of it. You look at the existing industries and you look at new industries. I'm telling you, when I say it, all you go realize it's common sense. Common sense. Existing industries. You have to improve the ease of doing business. You have to make people want to invest in this country. You have to make individuals in this country want to put their money in to start businesses. You all remember when Point Fortin and Library were booming? You remember when around every corner I had big business? As you're going down the road, all around the roadway had little place selling all kinds of things. You know why that is not happening now? Because people are frightened. So that's the next thing you need to do. Crime has become the biggest problem in this country. The biggest problem facilitated by the PNM. When they leave the borders open, so drugs and guns and illegal human trafficking could take place, who do you think they're facilitating? That is the PNM facilitating crime in this country. Are you taking that? No. So improve the ease of doing business. Make things easier for doing business. And if you're a small or medium-sized business owner, you know that you have to cry and beg to get your VAT back. So fix the VAT. Fix the operations of the VAT office. Make sure we put something in place so people can get their VAT refunds quickly. Improve access to foreign exchange. We have spoken about this before. There's a foreign exchange cabal operated by the PNM, facilitated by the PNM, where when you want to go and get a little change, you want to go and get $100 to buy something online, is pressure. And now I hear that the banks have now reduced even that access that you would have had to foreign exchange. Who do you think that facilitating? That facilitating big business, not small business. And around here, watch around. Watch around. Small and medium-sized businesses are catching the nenen. So the first way of improving and getting funding is diversifying the revenue base on existing industries. Make people, create the environment so people want to invest more. That is what we did from 2010 to 2015, you know. There was business growth throughout this country. Left, right, and center. From Moruga all the way up to Port of Spain. From Mayaro all the way down to Cedros. Businesses were growing because people feel confident. You think people feeling confident today? Again, I don't have to prove that, you know. Because there was a newspaper report done by Ernst & Young. A whole report done by Ernst & Young, which said that 72% of the people they surveyed, which is business people, did not have confidence in this economy under this PNM government. And that is why there's no business growth here. You ever went to the bank and tried to get a loan? They ask you for every single part of your life. They want your name, they want your father's name, they want to know when last year. Anyway, let me go down there. They want to know all your business because systems have not been put in place that are user-friendly for us. It is user-friendly for other people. Although remember during COVID, businesses were begging on the streets here. Begging. Carl Mimbut came to Parliament for 2 years straight saying we have agreed to put hundreds of millions of dollars to ensure that small business could access funding and could stay alive during COVID, just like the rest of the world were doing. And then 1 year afterwards come and say, you know how much people get through with it? None. Because the small businesses didn't have what was required. The rules and regulations were not put in place to allow small business to benefit. So, confront crime, improve the ease of doing business, improve VAT administration, improve foreign exchange access in a transparent way. That is how you improve, and more, that is how you improve and increase the revenue base from existing industries. The other part of that is to create new business, find new industries. And I just want to give you one. We have here, anybody remember these things? We have here a 12-pillar plan. What we did is we created a series of growth poles throughout the country. Because when UNC plans, we don't plan for Central alone, we don't plan for North alone, we don't plan for the East alone, we don't plan for the West alone, we plan for all of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's 11 growth poles. I want to touch just on the one that is directly related here. Cedros Moruga Southwest Peninsula Economic Zone. Let me tell you what that is. This is a special development zone link which links Cedros to Moruga and which will become a major economic hub in the Southwest Peninsula of Trinidad. This will tap into future strong growth opportunities in nearby Guyana and Suriname. The Cedros Moruga Economic Zone will comprise a commercial port, agriculture, real estate, housing, and other business activities. We have a plan that will develop a segment of this country here, Cedros, Moruga, and there will be spin-off all through this. We have a plan for the energy sector too. And with the help and support of my brothers from the trade union, the energy sector will be returned to some level of glory in this country. Everywhere else in the world, people are desperate for oil and gas. And while people are desperate for oil and gas, this government killing it. You know why? Because they're protecting their friends and their families. That is why our whole industry shut down. Whole communities becoming ghost towns, struggling to survive because they're protecting their friends and families. That is Cosa Nostra. That is the code of silence. That is the criminal conduct of the PNM, and we must not let them continue with that. But while we have plans, these are the same PNM people who tell you they're bringing a plywood factory down here to create jobs. Do you remember that? All you remember when they closed down Petrotrin and they say, come down, all the workers from Petrotrin could come to Labre because we're building a port, a dry dock in Labre, and workers in Petrotrin who are familiar with oil and gas will come and work in a dry dock. All you remember that? Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on because the United National Congress has a multiplicity of plans, programs, and activities which will improve this country. All you want to know where we get the money from? We are going to improve existing businesses and we are going to create new businesses. With new businesses and improve the existing businesses, we will have more foreign exchange. We will have more jobs. We will have more infrastructural development. We will have more harmony, productivity, growth, and development throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Do you believe that, ladies and gentlemen? That is the caring UNC government, ladies and gentlemen. And I will tell you this, as I end, I will tell you this. We have the track record. Because from 2010 to 2015, the economy grew. From 2015 to now, it has collapsed. We are smaller now than we were in 2015. Although they spent $560 billion, you have nothing to show for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I trust that you would have listened carefully. I trust that the PNM would have learned a little something tonight. This is not old talk. We have done it before, and we will do it again. With your support, ladies and gentlemen, the United National Congress will win the next election. With your support, ladies and gentlemen, with your support, I will become the next member of parliament for Fyzabad. And I will be willing to stand at the door of the parliament and welcome my brother Elder as the next member of parliament for Labre. And welcome my brother Ernesto as the next member of parliament for Point Fortin. And welcome 39 new members of parliament representing the United National Congress and our partners. Ladies and gentlemen, say this with me. I would like to get my colleagues here on the stage. I would like to get my two colleagues here on the stage because we have something to remind you about. You see, elections have consequences, ladies and gentlemen. For the last 10 years, you've had a PNM member of parliament here and a PNM government, and nothing has bin given to you. Always burn and learn, not so? So we have a little session for you. I don't claim to be a singer. I don't claim to be a singer. I don't claim to be a singer. Come, join me. Join me. The muscle man of the UNC. You see, we have power in this place, you know. Our party is a powerful party. Now, I don't know if my brother could sing, but we have a song for you tonight. We have a song for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And I welcome you to join us. It is very simple. It is very simple, but it is a lesson and a reminder. Let me go.
PNM, they don't like labor. PNM, they only want vote. And as soon as they get in power, they have a knife to bust your throat. But as labor, we do have power. And it's time we cut this out. We vote them in with his finger. And with his finger we go vote them out. PNM, they don't like labor. PNM, they only want to vote. And as soon as they get in power, they have a knife to bust your throat. And as labor, we do have power. And it's time we cut this out. We vote them in with his finger, and with his finger we go vote them out.
UNC! Remember that when UNC wins, everybody wins!
When UNC wins!